Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you, and today we're going to talk about using steroids when you're underweight. But before we get into that, just a big shout out and thank you to everybody out there watching and supporting the channel. You guys are absolutely coming through big time with the likes, the subs, the shares. If you haven't yet, please do all of these things. Leave comments, whatever you can possibly do. It helps the channel to grow. It feeds the algorithm, and I'm just going to keep coming harder and harder with more and more content. Also, today's video is sponsored by letsgetchecked.com. Now, what is letsgetchecked.com? They are an at-home blood testing company. It's very, very simple, it's easy, and it is convenient as possible. All you have to do is go to the website, pick your test. They have tons of options for males and females. Hormonal tests, wellness tests, sexual health tests. They even have COVID testing at home. They have it all, they do it all. Order your test, get it shipped to you. You can get it overnighted if you need it that fast. Otherwise, they have other shipping options in there as well. Take the test, send it back, get the results extremely fast. They've got nurses and doctors there at all times to guide you through the process or answer any questions that you've got. Check them out. Use the code Gemelli30 to save 30% off. Letsgetchecked.com, Gemelli30, 30% off. So, all right. You know, I like to do these videos, but I don't, because when I do these videos, like using steroids with an elevated body fat, using steroids when you're too young, now using steroids when you're underweight, I get this like abusive kickback from people that like take it personal or think that like I have some sort of motive here or that I am like the big bad guy that's telling you what to do. All I'm doing is telling you my opinion based upon some science, some facts, a lot of experience, all intertwined together. Because I believe that as important as the science and the studying is, nothing's more important and valid than hands-on kinds of events that you deal with and that you really see and go through personally. And like I coach them to so many people. Just because I experience something doesn't necessarily mean you or the next person will. That's not how this works. But what is helpful is to take an abundance of years and years of study and watching and learning and seeing and putting them together and seeing, well, what's more consistent here? What do I find happens more often? So when we're talking about using steroids with a very low body weight. So let's say that, for instance, I get shit all the time. Oh, you're so skinny, you're this. So just so that you understand, if you think that I'm too skinny, which I don't disagree with, but I keep myself that way for a reason. 6'1", 175. So when I have somebody that comes to me that wants to use steroids and they're 6'1", 150, if you think I'm too skinny, what the hell do you think 25 pounds off? I wouldn't do videos if I was 25 pounds lighter because I would look so scary it would freak you out. So my point is this. If you're telling me I'm too skinny and you're wanting to use steroids at 6'1", 150, when you're 20 and 30 pounds underweight from what your height suggests and whatever, and even sometimes then they're on the low end. Like I weigh 175 forcefully because of the way that I eat and train. I'm normally always, most of my life, was just 185 naturally and ate kind of a lot more calories per day, a lot more not dialed in, partied a lot, shit like, but I still just generally walked around about 185, which is pretty standard for 6'1", give or take, maybe 180. But you when you start talking about steroids and things like that, under 200 at 6'1" is going to seem pretty light to most. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think once you're in the 190, 200 range, but I feel different at that weight. So, it is what it is. That's arguable. Beside the point. And my point is this. When you're way underweight, there's several things here. You don't want to be using steroids for multiple reasons, okay? The first should be the obvious, okay? You can easily do this on your own without any kind of help. You haven't, because when you think about using steroids, the point in steroids is you reach a peak for so long that there's just absolutely no possible way to get over, like a genetic limit peak. And that takes years of doing something, and that also takes you to fully develop internally. So when you're in your early 20s, one of the pet peeves I have is somebody that's like 23 telling me, oh, I reached my peak or I reached my natural production. No, you did not. You didn't. Maybe 1 out of a million. You didn't. It's just, you haven't even fully developed yet, okay? So when you want to take the time to fully develop, if you're that far underweight, you're either, well, you're not fully developed. You can't be, because you haven't put on the right size to actually develop any size and muscle. You may have stopped growing internally, but you still have developing to do in terms of body size, mass composition. But regardless, you don't need steroids if you're that far underweight. You need to learn how to eat or fix what you're doing. And if you're a hard gainer, like, I'm not even going to get into that, you can still accommodate that through diet. There's always ways, and there's different sorts of things you can do. Okay, so let's just say, fuck that. You don't want to hear that. Okay, well, here's another fact for you. When you use steroids when you're too far underweight, even if you're using something like Anavar or Winstrol, chances are you're going to gain more weight than you should. It's a steroid. So with Anavar, if you expect to gain a couple pounds, 3-4 pounds tops, good, clean, lean muscle generally, if you're just in, really good condition and that's what you're after and your diet's accommodating that, you might get up to 10 or 15 even being too far underweight. Now, I'm not saying you will. So don't go, Gemelli said you could gain 15 pounds of Anavar. Don't take my fucking words out of context. That's not what I said. All right? What I said was it's possible because you're so far underweight that could happen. But let's say you run a D-ball, and let's say you do put on 20, 25 pounds, but you're extremely underweight, and you probably, and that's what a lot of people are putting on in general that are already at some sort of weight. So it could be more, could be less. I don't know. The point is, when you drastically put on too much size at once, no matter what size you are, it's a lot of strain internally, and it's not healthy really for anybody to do. But when you're so far underweight, it's extra strain. Why do you think, let's take Scott Steiner, for example, for the wrestling fans out there. He was always injured after the real change in physique. He was always a big dude, but when he became Big Papa Pump, you noticed that it was like injury. You know why? Because of all of the shit he was using and the overload and how quickly he got so big so fast, and it put so much strain, it's setting you up for short and long-term injuries. It's too much on a person. It's just too much. And when you're really that far underweight, it's even, you might as well quadruple that. You're at a greater risk for these kind of side effects, and what's going to probably happen is you're setting yourself up to be one of those people that suffers nagging injuries that just deals with them all the time. And long term. And then take a look at wrestling fans again. Take a look at a guy like Lex Luger. He was the ultimate freaking male, man. Like, seriously, at that time, people didn't look like that. They just didn't. There were few and far between, like in his time. Look at him now. What they shrivel up to. And he's not the only one. I'm just using an example. There's so many of them that I see. And so it's just, be careful. When you're that far underweight, you need to figure things out on your own first. Work on your appetite. Work on your diet. Try different things. Try different, movements in the gym as well. Power lifts. There's different ways that you can train to get bigger as well. All right? But you definitely don't want to do that when you're that far underweight. You don't. For the multiple reasons. But the injuries and the ability to get there on your own is fairly, should be obvious, especially the ability to get you on their own. Maybe some people don't understand, and I get that about the injuries, but it's not good on anybody, even somebody that's at a pretty respectable weight, to put on too much weight too fast. It's just not. It's too much internally, all right? And when you're doing that underweight, the stressors are just going to be terrible on you. Listen. This is a marathon, not a sprint. I'm just like everybody else, where I want what I want right now. I don't care about process. I want it right now. But that is not how this works. That's not how, like, your body development and weight loss and weight gain and muscle gain and progress and things like that. If anything that requires patience and understanding, it's this. And it sucks, dude. Like, I get it. It sucks. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I also understand it and accept it because I just know how this works. And there's things in life that you have to accept because there's processes involved, and that's how it goes. The quicker that you start doing things the right way and get more consistent and disciplined, the faster you're going to get the results. And that's just a fact. I only say the things I say to help everybody. That is it. I'm not trying to piss anybody off or have somebody just get so offended and this and this and this because I say these things. These are factual things that I've observed, and they're scientifically proven, and they're seen, and people know. you do what you want. I'm not going to lose sleep over it either way. I'll sleep better knowing that people are listening and I'm helping them, but you're going to do what you want to do, and that's fine. If I'm even helping one person out of a million, I'm doing something right and what I'm aiming to do. Hopefully I'm helping a lot more than that. But like I said, even just helping one person, it's worth it. So everybody, always do whatever you're most comfortable with and what you want to do, and understand that this is just somebody that has experience that's looking out for you, and that is what it is. You don't have to, nobody's paying me for their time or whatever. You don't have to do anything I say, and you can think I'm the biggest whatever in the world, or you could, really have great success with the things I'm teaching you. I can't control that. All I can do is do my absolute best and try to deliver the best and continue to do that for everybody. So, love you guys. Thank you again for the support. That being said, stay tuned for plenty more to come. Dylan Gemelli, signing off.